Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
We are back, and this is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. I hope you enjoyed Monday's interview with Joe Castro, who's the writer, director, special effects producer. He was actually in the movie. And before we talk Toons 3, which is it's gonna be something. I got to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Doug, but I got to tell you, my mind is still scrambled from what I just watched yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't done drugs in years, and I felt like I did drugs when I was watching this movie.
Well, I felt like either you had to do drugs watching the movie or they were doing drugs making the movie.
That is true. Now, this movie, well, we're going to get into it, but the way I think of this movie, it was because Joe is amazing at the special effects, like the practical effects. And it seems like it was like the greatest hits. It was just nonstop. I would go to take a note and I look up and it would be like something else is going on quick.
Yeah, I describe, if you're going to describe this movie to somebody, I would say it's a combination of like five things. So it's like a video game, a Pink Floyd music video,
yeah,
a Tim Burton movie, and a gay porno.
Yes.
I mean, if you combine them all, you have this movie.
And that is what we're going to talk about, guys. So so the beginning of the movie, just to give it a little backstory for folks listening. Toons 1, when Joe made that movie, he made it in a weekend for $2,300. Became like a cult following within months of it coming out. It was in like every Blockbuster in America, like 3 or 4 copies, which is so big for people that know what a Blockbuster video is. So the second one, he had a big budget, so it was a completely different story. So in the beginning of the third one, he wanted to tie up some loose ends from the first one because the beginning of this movie is previously, and they show a little bit about what happened.
I appreciate that because since I've never seen any of them, I like how they were trying to explain what was going on. But even with the previously on the Toons, I still had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I was more confused. All I remember is the blonde who turns into like a superhero. She is like, her name is Beverly Lynn. She's in a lot of like softcore, like Skinemax movies. Not that I know.
Was she Candy or whatever? I think she was.
No, she wasn't Candy. No, she was the blonde in the beginning. I don't know what her name was in the movie. Was it Candy?
Well, wasn't there one with a magic wand?
Oh, that's Candy?
I think so, right?
Okay. I didn't know if Candy was the girl that she brought back to life. But,
you know what? Maybe. You know what? Honestly, I don't know anyone's name in the movie, except for the big bad wolf and Red.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm amazed that this movie's on Amazon. Like it's that big. I guess it's that has such a following that enough people are going on Amazon to watch it. So that's,
yeah.
I mean, because it does. I understand the budget was low. It does look like it could have been filmed on a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I know in your previous life, you used to do claymation and all that kind of stuff. I figured like this kind of movie was right up your alley because there's a lot of aspects of some of the videos I've seen that you've done in your past that I could see it working in a movie like this.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I do love horror movies. But I don't know, sometimes with the sound effects and the previously on, when they were showing the one guy, his like stomach get ripped off, like peeled off, like it was like an orange peel, I got a little queasy. There's a couple times I got queasy watching this movie. But yeah, so just to recap the previously on, they show, basically they had a DVD and there were 3 options on the DVD. It was like play, I think it was like menu, and then the third one was like Toons Live, and they clicked on that, and the 2 creatures came out of the TV: the doctor, the green doctor with the big nose, and the gorilla, which the ape really upset me. I'm not even kidding. Like that thing creeped me out when it is behind the curtains later in the movie, and just the sounds, and it's just clapping. Yeah,
I had no idea what was going on. Like I had no idea why there was a gorilla there. I didn't realize the green guy with the big nose was a monster. Like was a doctor. Like I don't even think I could tell you what the movie's about. I really I mean, I took a lot of notes, but I really don't know. I really don't. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Me neither, and I don't think I ever will see anything like this again in the future. But yeah,
don't say that, because they're in post-production for part 4, and they're in production for part 5.
Oh wow!
So
no, and then Debbie Rochon, if I'm saying her name correctly, who we're going to interview in a couple weeks. She was in Toxic Avenger Part 4. She's actually in Terror Toons 4, which is pretty neat. So yeah, we're going to talk to her in a few weeks. But so let's get into the beginning of the new movie. I guess this is the beginning of Terror Toons 3. And so Beverly Lynn, the softcore porn star, she's in all these movies that are called like Bikini Summer, Bikini Cops, Bikini whatever. And she has like a magic wand, like a comical size magic wand. And she starts bringing everyone back to life who's dead in the morgue.
So were they dead from the first movie?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay. Well, when before they even got to the hospital, the scene reminded me of The Naked Gun.
Yeah.
They filmed it from the front view, the point of view of the ambulance, and it was driving around. And I'm like, all right, this is interesting, And then once they got to the hospital, I guess she's the one that flew down, or if you want to call that flying down, like she was like on a wire being dropped.
Yes.
She woke everybody up, and I guess these are the 3 people. There was like 3 people that died in the first movie, correct?
Yeah.
What I was kind of confused about was and we'll get into the beginning scenes, but that was only like 15 minutes, and then you don't see them until the end of the movie. Like, did that did the rest of the movie have anything to do with that?
I know. So there was like 2 different movies here, because it stops and then they recap. I don't understand it. No, I didn't understand that at all. And just the way it transitioned to it, it was ridiculous. So we have to talk about, they're trying to save the green terror tune. And the doctors are kind of normal about this green creature that they're working on.
I wrote the same thing down. So like they were like, first of all, it's a regular hospital, not a vet. It's not a veterinarian. It's it's not like a scientist kind of. It was a human hospital, and they have this green creature that they're very calm and trying to save his life. And
his head's split in half. So I don't know how much they can actually help him out, but anyway, they're working on him. So they're looking at his blood, and some of the actors of this, the guy on the phone about the microscope and the results. He was pretty bad. Well, that's where it was almost filmed like a horror porn. Like, there was no sex in the movie really. I mean, we'll get to later on, but the acting was very like amateur pornish. Yeah. And even like the way they were dressed and looked, like there was, not a lot of effort to put like some acting skills together. Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe because when you're, each day more that you shoot, it's going to cost you a lot more money. So maybe he did it like guerrilla style, this one too, like did it in a weekend to save money. But no, dude, when the guy, all right. What? So the guy is looking in a microscope. He's looking at the blood cells. Blood cells. And if one blood starts making sounds, almost talking, and the guy keeps looking closer and closer, and then it pulls out a Swiss Army knife. It starts cutting out of his eyes. It was the scalpel, I think, right? Wasn't it a scalpel? Oh, I don't know. It looked like a Swiss Army knife to me. Yeah, and it cuts. But it was a blood cell that created a form that was able to hold a knife, come out, and stab the scientist in the eyeball. Yeah, and stick the knife through the tube, which I don't think the tubes are that big on microscopes, but it was able to fit through there. He was able to, and then crawled into his eyeball. Yes. And we're literally 10 minutes into the movie. I know. And then I have there's a lot of question marks after things that I write. And then I wrote, then another guy just transforms into an ape because another doctor turned into an ape. So I don't know if it was like another blood cell that we didn't see, but then the monkey is in this. Yeah. Well, see now, what was that gorilla doing? The purple. I don't know what he was doing. All he was creeping behind a blanket like the whole time, or a sheet. And at this point, I wrote down what is going on.
That's my note. I said, what is going on? Because I'm trying to take notes, and it's like, because it's like, there's no talking. It's just a lot of stuff going on. A lot of like stabbings, guts, and weirdness. Like it's a psychedelic, it's like a trip. It's a complete trip, this movie.
But you know what's great? It gets weirder and weirder because now we have a guy that's on the hospital table. He's nervous. He looks at the doctor. Again, not good acting. And he's like laying there. And the guy says, like, am I going to be all right? You're going to be fine. And then 2 seconds later, they rip his freaking chest open. And I'm like, wait, what kind of hospital is this?
Well, the doctors definitely look like creepy. Like they didn't look like they were real doctors. They looked like they were just like, they escaped from some kind of mental ward, threw on a doctor's like jacket, and now performing surgery for the first time.
And then the one doctor pulls down his surgical mask, and he pulls something that he has mouths where his eyes are.
and so he had mouths where his eyes and mouth were. And then there was another one that had eyeballs where the eyes and the mouth were. So what was that? Like, I mean, like, it really served no purpose at all in the movie. Like, they didn't explain that. It was just like, they're showing you just creepy people. Like, they didn't do anything with that, right? Like,
it was almost like it was a hospital that was harvesting organs or something, because they were doing something dirty, because even the normal people were just getting killed. Thing I have to like credit is, again, the practical effects. It's not like there is a lot of like post like computer work and like 3D rendering and stuff, but the practical effects, like the ape, that's all done with Joe just making that, and just like that green guy, dude, they looked really cool.
So that was like a CGI kind of thing, or it wasn't?
No, those are real. Those are real. The rest, like, so a lot of the things, like the saw blades cutting people's heads in half and ripping up the hallways, that was CGI. But no, the actual seeing the ape, that was all practical. Like, that was real effects.
Right.
So the green Toon guy, he's laying there, and again, he's split in half, and the ape comes over, right? Wasn't it the ape?
Yes.
And he puts a heart in his head and puts it in there, and then he like kind of like smushes the head together, and then a fly goes into his nose and starts pulling the heart into place, and almost like jump starts it like it's a car.
Well, that fly, he also turns up at the end of the movie as well.
Yes, he does.
Okay. So, like, are they all like part of was a fly in the first movie? Like, are these all like creatures from the first movie? Like, I don't understand, because they all seem to be working together.
I don't know. From the previously on, it only looked like the original movie was those two creatures.
The gorilla and the green
gorilla
guy.
And the green guy. But yeah, the fly was quite the character. Because he jump-started him. But then how about the hospital employee, I think, walks into that room, and you're expecting him to like I think he's about to perform surgery or something, and you're getting ready for him to get killed. And all that happens is he just starts getting slapped by the green guy.
By his tongue.
Oh, the tongue, yeah.
So he's in there with the other, and then also you see this. First of all, I wasn't too sure it was a tongue at first, because all you see is him coming off screen, and you see this long thing coming through, off screen, and then the doctor doesn't notice it right away until it's like 2 inches from his face, and then all of a sudden the green guy starts slapping him in the face with his tongue. And
all he had to say back was, you shouldn't be in here. What are you doing here? And he's getting slapped, and then they show him on the ground, and then he's getting, I guess, stomped out, like, sort of, but.
There was definitely a lot of stomping in this movie, too. A lot of stomping heads and bodies and squishing.
I know. This is where I wrote, am I on drugs? Because the next scene was mind-blowing. When all the doctors came into the room and just stood there and just got killed. A guy gets his head sliced in half. Another guy gets, whatever, breaks. Oh, how about the guy that gets possessed, kind of, like? He gets possessed by the green guy, and then he stabs another guy in the head. And then he stabs his own neck.
And we're probably 15 minutes in the movie.
I know. And then there were so many kills. Like Jason, I was able to keep track. There's no way, dude. I don't know how many people died already, because the saw blade didn't even come out yet. And the saw blade probably killed most of the people.
Well, that's when they started walking down a hallway, right? And then you see this big saw blade come out of the ceiling. Was that the end, or was that the beginning?
No, that's the beginning.
Beginning.
And the end.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the saw blade. So when we first saw the saw blade, it was a normal size.
Yep.
How the hell did it get so big? Because when it sliced that guy, there's a lot of size problems in this movie. But when the saw blade saws the one guy's head, one of the doctors, then it leaves the room. and it goes into the hallway, and it's monstrous. It's going from the ceiling to the floor, just going apart.
Maybe it's like the remember those snake games where every time it eats something, it gets larger and larger?
Yeah.
So maybe every time the saw blade cuts someone up, it just gets bigger and bigger.
Maybe that could be it. So the only thing the ape I can remember really doing in this movie when he had that gun, he had like a Nerf gun. He was like shooting darts at all the doctors, and they were just like falling on the ground. So
this is.
Here's where I wrote down the saw blade. So the saw blade definitely did kill one of the guys in the hospital room, but there was that. So there's a random medical bag in like the lobby of the hospital, and there is a baby sitting there. And the saw blade comes out, baby doesn't move, and that saw blade leaves. It like goes past the baby, and then a nurse opens the door, and it just like goes past her head. But the best is she's just standing there, and it's like.
And yeah, and the baby just randomly have they have a lot of random things throughout the movie. They'll have teddy bears coming at you like randomly.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but they had this baby just randomly sitting in a diaper, just sitting playing by itself. Like it was just, and then the saw blade you said went right in front of the baby. Did we get to the point of the balls that came alive? Wasn't there a bunch of balls that came alive, like bouncy balls?
Oh yeah. No, they popped out of something. I don't know if they popped out of the green guy, like when he like. Sneak, I don't know. Something they popped out of somewhere. Yeah, I know. They were like taking care of, yeah. So no, I was gonna say this is like pretty much right when the saw blade rips up the nurse and then rips up the hallway. It just stops. Yeah. The movie stops, and then we see an old guy reading a book.
Now that old guy, that old guy is supposedly, I guess he's a big like horror guy from the 60s. I think.
Yeah.
So the movie's named after him. I think. It's Toons, Herschel, or is it Herschel's?
Yeah, Herschel's story like time or something.
So he's Herschel, and I think it's based on him. But yes, this is where things get real weird.
Oh my God. Herschel creeped me out at first, but then then it just gets crazy. But anyway, so then he grabs a book off the shelf called Gore Time Stories, and I wrote underneath it, "Is this a new movie?" ?
I thought it was gonna be something like Amazon Women in the Moon or Kentucky Fried Movie. Yeah. I thought it was gonna be a bunch of now stories because I had no idea what we were getting into. I'm like, all right, that's neat. We saw one movie that doesn't explain anything, and now we're gonna get into a little bit more. And it's the same movie, I guess. I just love how he goes to the bookshelf. There's like 100 normal books, and then he has this one creepy book that has like blood dripping out of it, and like, yeah, so.
So then we see two cops eating. All we show is like a donut shop. Cop car pulls up, right?
Before that, he says we're going to hear the story of the Three Little Pigs.
Oh yeah.
So now that's why I thought, because then he goes about the Red Riding Hood. I'm thinking, all right, two separate movies. So right away they show you a donut right after he says Three Little Pigs. So you're thinking, all right, we're going to see a story about pigs. No, we see cops.
Yes, at a donut shop, and the guy behind the counter slices a donut in half and then pours chili cheese on it. And they show this somewhat attractive, like Spanish cop.
Yes. I thought it was dog food at first, by the way. The way
it looked like it.
He was pouring out there, and then yes.
And Joe Castro, they're sitting there, and she's eating it, and then there's a lot of mouth sounds, and then she farts.
There was a lot of like lip smacking, teeth grinding. Like she was like going down on that donut like it was like she hasn't eaten in a week. Like she was like, and the sound effects are all over the place. But she was eating chili, so I mean, farting and chili do go hand in hand.
That does make sense.
And it's not the first time she farts.
I know. And then Joe Castro's staring, drooling. He's just drooling, looking at her. And then that kind of ended, right? And then that's when it writes to Red Riding Hood, and they're hanging out.
Correct. So it goes back to the old guy again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, and that's when he goes, all right, now we're going to tell you the story of Red Riding Hood, and, so that this is where you're thinking it's two separate stories.
Yes.
And Red Riding Hood goes right to a scene of two guys playing basketball, one black and one white.
And then they're shooting hoops. The one guy, I don't know if this is before or after the mom walks out.
Well, before the mom walks out, they look normal. Like you don't hear anything from the black guy. You don't hear. It's like instead of saying black guy, I'm going to say the wolf. All right, so you don't hear anything from the wolf. You don't see anything from the and they're playing basketball, and then the mom comes out. And all you see is the legs.
Yeah, it's like it was almost like a Peanuts cartoon or
Yes.
like Muppet Babies, just huge legs, and he's humping her leg. The wolf is humping her leg. Like what the hell? What the hell was that?
Well, at this point, where I still wasn't sure what was going on. Like again, I wasn't sure. Like, was he really a wolf, or is it just a name? But then, I guess he loses the ball, and he tells him to go fetch it. All right, now it's starting to come clear, what he is, and then he starts panting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, so he's a wolf. I go like, all right, they kind of cheaped out on the disguise or the costume because he didn't look any different except he was panting.
Yeah.
And then they go in the car, right? Am I missing?
And then he goes, I have to go to my grandma's house.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I wrote down some lines. He says, "Is your grandma as hot as your mom?" He goes, I love gilfs. Oh no, he goes, you ever hear of a gilf? And he goes, come on, gilfs are like Rolls Royce with old leather. I'm like, what is happening? This guy, again, the mom was 40. This is where the sizes are. I don't understand the sizes.
Throughout the movie.
I don't understand any of it.
And it's coming up soon. The cars go different sizes also. So,
I know.
So that's the sizes of this movie. That it just, I don't know what perspective we're supposed to be looking at. Like, they make it look like, are you looking at this perspective, but are they really that miniature inside a small car? And is the mom really that big? Like it's very bizarre.
Yeah. And then how about when they're driving? So they're getting pulled over by the cop car. When the cop car pulls out, it's really tiny because it's coming from, it comes from underneath a big car.
Correct. Like a big monster truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, but when it's on the road behind their car, it's like a normal street.
Correct. And then this is the first time you notice the cops from the first part.
Yeah.
The donut shop. So now there's three of them, and there's one guy in the middle who's got clown makeup on, I guess. Who doesn't say any words in the movie? I don't think. I think he's silent in the movie, right?
He doesn't say anything at all.
So they pull over the car, right? And they pull over, and the hot Spanish cop comes over, and so starts talking to the kid, and he goes, "Why'd you pull me over?" Right? Is that?
Yeah.
And what was the reason why she pulled him over?
Oh, I forgot.
So do I. But she gives him a ticket. Do you remember how she gives him a ticket?
Oh, it comes out of her mouth.
She pulls it out of her mouth.
I know. She doesn't even walk to the cop car. She walks to the end of the car, and then it comes out of her mouth. She's like part machine or something.
Well, yeah, we kind of learned that later on.
Yeah.
So she goes behind. So like now the wolf and the kid are like they're like they're annoyed. So once he starts seeing her pull it out, I think he realizes there's something wrong with the cops.
Yeah.
So he takes off. Right? Is that?
Yeah. Then they start driving.
Oh no! You know what? He takes off with the ticket, but throws the ticket out the window.
Yeah. And the cops somehow the cops with their lights on go past them. And they kind of like pull over. They get out of the car, and then they're just standing there. So
it's very easy to go past them because when you see them driving away, now you see a miniature car. You see a remote control car.
It was a remote control car.
And then you go by an alley. But I'm going to go back to the teddy bear I mentioned before. There's a teddy bear just turning his head outside of a dark alley for no reason. And then the toy car goes around, and then you see them back up again.
Yeah.
You know what? One part we did forget. The wolf was sticking his head out the window with his tongue.
Oh yeah, he was panting like yeah.
And he had like a long tongue.
So then when they're driving, Red Riding Hood and the wolf, they turn down that street, and they don't see the cop standing there, and until like the last second. But the girl cop pulls out her gun, and it says on the gun, it says 3, 2, 1, and the bullet comes out almost like a corkscrew on the
like
end.
a drill or something,
yeah, and goes right through the wolf's head, right?
Yep.
So like, what the hell? Why the hell? What is happening? And then that's where, oh my god, my mind's hurting. Then I wrote down, that's when he backed up, and I know he looked like an RC car before, but when he backed up right there, it looked exactly like one I had for Christmas one year. Exactly, yellow like sports car.
Yep. So then he takes off. Now, I wrote down, someone was watching a video of a cop licking a giant donut?
Yeah, I have that. Why are cops watching videos of donuts getting licked? So they're getting off on that. They're like in where they usually put in the screen, like to look up license plates.
Right, okay.
They're watching like a YouTube video of like donuts getting licked. And then how about the Hummer cop car turns to a helicopter? Oh, I don't.
Why they don't have those?
I don't know. Oh yeah, because the guy with his car, he runs into a wall, and then you're like, "What's this dummy doing?" He hits the wall again, and then drives up the wall.
Well, he rams into the wall like 3-4 times. I'm like, I'm like, we're trying to figure. I think it was a toy car that time again. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then he drives somehow by ramming into the wall. It makes you drive up the wall.
Yes. And then that's why the cop car turned into a helicopter. Then the guy's driving on top of buildings, and we're getting like an aerial shot. And they're basically driving from building to building like there's no jump. It's like they're just doing it like on like a mat. Like if you printed out an aerial photo, it was almost like they were just moving the car along from building to building.
Well, didn't they have like a Pac-Man map of showing the car chase too?
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. So then somehow he gets down, and the next note I have is when he's driving on the street by himself with a wolf still in his car. And he has to slam on the brakes because there's large turtles crossing the street. And then Wolf flies out of the car. And then he has to leave him, right? He leaves him.
He leaves. Well, he's dead. Why take him with you?
No, I don't know if he's dead. So then he goes to like the hooded clan. So there's like a hooded clan.
Well, let's clarify. It's like a hooded red clan. Red clan. Because I thought it was a bunch of Red Riding Hoods. You know? But you also meet, I'm going to call him Grandma Sam Elliott.
Oh my God. I wish you could see this. I wrote, we meet a mixture of Hulk Hogan / Sam Elliott. And I wrote, and that's the grandma?
Well, I had Grandma Sam Elliott and the old man from Wedding Singer.
Yes.
But that is the grandma.
Oh, I know. So then they're all in the house, and he's like, what kind of cops are they? I think he was the best actor in the movie.
Oh, he was great.
He was playing a grandma, you know?
Yeah.
So when he's standing there, I'd love to interview him. Oh my God. So how about when he's like, who are these cops? And he's like, I think they're going to come here soon. So they're looking out the window. The cops are there, and a rocket comes out of the crotch of the female cop. What is happening?
Well, that seems to be some kind of trend because later on, a brick comes out of the ass of another girl.
Oh my God.
So and we did forget there was another scene, and I'm trying to, because everything was all mishmash.
Oh yeah,
wasn't there a teddy bear that was peeling his face off?
Yeah.
So like in between, like that going on. But yes, so she shoots a rocket and goes into the what does it hit?
I think it like hits the wall, and then Grandma Hulk Hogan / Sam Elliott picks it up and throws it back at him.
Yeah, he throws the rocket back out like a grenade,
and then nothing really happens to them.
Right?
Like I think they might get thrown to the ground, but then a big brawl happens. All the Red Hooded clan go out there, and then it's
well, was it really a brawl? I would say it was more of a massacre.
No. The guy that didn't talk, the clown makeup guy, he has a huge fist somehow, which I don't know if he had that in the car. Maybe
you don't see his hands in the car.
That's true. So he's just knocking people out, and there's a lot of heads getting stomped in, faces getting ripped off. Like when that one black girl, the black red hooded, she starts fighting the Spanish cop, and you're like, oh shit, she's gonna kick her ass, and then she just punches a hand in her face.
Well, don't forget she comes out in a cartwheel.
Oh, I know.
And she's the one that has the brick out of her ass, right?
Yeah. No, that's a different girl.
Oh, that was a different.
No. The black girl was the one that came out, and she was like standing in front of the house by herself, and then she would like purposely after. Yeah,
that's right.
But she like knocked her down on the ground. She knocked the Spanish chick on the ground, and then the Spanish chick just got up and punched her and ripped her face off. No, the cartwheel. I wrote what ? Cartwheel lady / man, because I don't know if that was it was a man dressed as a lady. Shits a brick. Usually people are scared they shit a brick.
You know what? I didn't put that together. She shit a brick. She really did.
But she didn't seem, he or she, I'm not going to judge what it was, but they weren't scared. They were actually fighting. And then when they cartwheel, head gets chopped off. And then Joe Castro is standing above it. And the thing shoots laser out of its eyes. And the head and Joe Castro gets decapitated.
I'm thinking like grandma and like the cartwheel lady, they might be like stunt doubles of like that would normally stand in for like a main actor, and maybe the main actor was sick that day. You're like, all right, just leave a stunt double in there.
Maybe.
Because I mean, like it did look like a man, but it's supposed to be a woman. Like you don't know what it was. Maybe grandma's supposed to be, a stunt double, but she couldn't make it. She was sick, and
Susan didn't come back from lunch.
She didn't come back from lunch, so he's like, "All right, listen, Ronnie, you got to be the, in the movie today." All right.
So then all the cops are like slaughtered on the ground, and Grandpa Hulk Elliot, I'll mash that together. Grandpa Hulk Elliot thinks, "Hey, you know what? Let's cook them. Let's have like a pig soup."
Well, before even get to that point, I got something where it's two other cops come over there.
Oh, yeah.
Confront the Spanish cop, and he's going to arrest her. He has a gun against her. She has a gun against him, and then he calls her baby, and she calls him daddy.
I know. What was that?
And she talks about being raised by him.
I know.
And then
so that was like a backstory that we didn't know about.
We didn't know about, and then she kills him.
She shoots him like 27 times in the head, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah, when they were like talking, it's an order. Stand down. Okay, baby? Yeah. Daddy. I'm like, what?
So then Grandma Sam Elliott decides to make a Sunday gravy.
And then I wrote, my mind is exploding. and then we cut to like the side of the road where the accident happened, where Wolf was left. And then he gets up and he starts transforming into a werewolf.
Well, what we're about to discuss, I'm going to say we should have had a little foreshadowing, because we didn't mention it before, but there was a point, I think, when they were right after playing basketball, his balls were hanging out of his shorts. The wolf.
Really?
Yes. They were like that. Either I think he tucked back in there or something.
Oh my God.
But they were hanging out there. So I just thought it was like a funny little gag. Little did I know, when he transforms into a wolf, not only do you see him like butt ass naked.
Yeah.
It looks like he's got 3 legs.
Oh my God.
As someone in Old True Green called one of our previous workers, he looked like a human tripod.
And that's a line from Tango and Cash. When they're in the shower, yeah. Kurt Russell calls him a tripod. I don't know why. So dumb. But yeah, so how about then when he gets to the house, they show a dog bowl, and it says on there Mr. Wolf. So this Wolfman, his name's Mr. Wolf, and he eats dog food?
Well, he's a wolf.
And then the thing that was mind blowing, it was a real bowl, but the dog food in it was like 3D, like CGI. It wasn't like a thing. It was like almost floating on the top.
Why couldn't you just put like regular dog food in it?
Maybe they forgot and then just had to add it in because they only shot in a weekend, but
it's possible.
So the dead cops are getting cooked. And then it was almost reminding me of the scene from Nightmare on Elm Street, when the blood and the food just falls out of the pot, goes onto the ceiling.
Well, it seems to be a combination of a few movies. I saw the movie The Thing a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
but the blood splattering or the gravy splattering all over the place turns into like a blob. First of all, yeah. it becomes a gravy blob,
yes.
Right? But that gravy blob turns into a monster, right? Like an intestine monster, or like a thing. Wasn't there like a creepy, like a weird looking thing?
Yeah.
So I mean, like I wonder if they kind of grabbed a little of that from there, because at this point, once it becomes a monster, now I'm really now I don't know what the heck's going on.
It's like a tornado of body parts, because
it's body parts with like hell breaking through the ground and like fires and like I just a lot going on.
And then I got sad because the one character I really connected with and liked gets eaten. Grandma, Sam Hogan.
Well, we forgot to mention this part. So when he's making the gravy, he pulls out carrots and celery out of his nose.
Oh yeah.
And puts them in the sauce. I mean, so I remember my mom used to tell me that I'm growing potatoes in my ears when I was younger. Like I think every kid so I never heard of carrots and celery coming out of your nose, but yeah, that was part of the seasoning for the gravy.
And then those carrots are used as weapons. It's like the most kills since the horror movie Jack Frost. There's like people getting murdered with carrots.
Well, you know what? There's also a movie with Clive Owen.
Oh, yeah.
He kills someone with a carrot.
Oh, yeah. Shoot him up.
Shoot him up.
At this point in the movie, how many people do you think died?
Well, you pretty much lost half a hospital. So, I mean, you can't even talk about that. You lost the whole Red Riding Hood gang. You lost how many cops out there? I mean, I would say a good 20 at least.
That's it?
No, well, at least. I mean, what, 75?
I don't know. I'm just thinking just the one hospital room alone, there was like 10 people that died in that one room.
All right, you're right. All right, so maybe like 70.
But if I wrote these, it's crazy how many people are just dying and getting their heads stomped in and ripped apart. It's crazy.
Well, so they're chasing Red, right? And somehow he pulls out a machine gun and grenade.
And dynamite. He throws dynamite. And then after that didn't work. So then he throws a grenade afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, so I wrote, the pig part blob is unstoppable until some knockoff Elvira.
I wrote the same thing that I said. Elvira lookalike comes up with magic.
Yeah, magic. There's a lot of magic in this movie.
A lot of magic and not a lot of explaining because she comes out of the blue. She comes out there, does magic and then goes away.
I know. There's just like, at least, and maybe because there's so much going on, if we knew backstories about like the daddy and the baby and this, and maybe this movie would be like 3 hours long.
I hope I don't have to see the first two to understand the third one.
Oh, no, I don't think so. The second has nothing to do with it. The second one is like a girl gets a DVD of the first one, I think, or something. It's like The Ring, kind of.
Okay.
So no, none of this is in any other ones.
All right, good.
So the next thing I have written down, the Spanish cop who is somehow again back together.
Yep.
Which, how? I don't understand it. But she gets cut in half.
Well, she gets more than cut in half. I mean, like, she was cooked. She was like,
I know. It's just like she stood a lot. And then,
but the magic, her head became like a huge screaming head when the magic was touched.
Oh, dude. And then when they showed that's the practical effects. When they showed her jaw detached and cut.
Yeah.
Dude, that was creepy when she was like in the house again like that.
Yeah. No, that was cool.
And then this story's over. And then we see Herschel hungry when he eats dinner. He goes into the thing. It's a pig's head. And then it has these comical eyes. Like swirling like the pig's on drugs.
And the pig's still alive.
Yeah.
The head's still alive. You hear it squealing when he puts it in the oven.
Which was sad. And then I'm like, oh, this guy's really creepy. Like, ugh.
It was very sad. But, he gets his.
I know. And then, right? Doesn't it happen right away?
No. That happens after. So then he goes, here's my favorite part.
No.
He goes, this is my favorite part, he said. So, now, great. A movie like this, you would think you would see like a lot of boobs. Like this is the prime movie to see a lot of boobs. But what do we see next?
A dick.
We see another one. So this is like I think the second or third time we see another one.
And this guy, I thought he was a wolf.
Well, before that though, isn't he? They tease us. He's boxing on some fake boobs.
Yeah,
he's using fake boobs as a punching bag.
I know. And then they go to this bar, Wolf and Red. He's like, hey, you know what? After we just witnessed all this murder and stuff, let's go to this bar. And he's like, doesn't really look like a bar. They walk in, no one's there. And he's like, let's just sit down. And then the guy who, in the credits, he says he's a wolf, but it's not a wolf. I think he's a dragon, right?
He breathed fire. So
he has to be a dragon.
But at this point, I starred my note. I said, more junk, not one boob.
I know.
Okay, so and that's the way I think that when I said gay porno, this is where it's like a lot of
it had a weird vibe, because
it almost had a third, I guess a third dick when the guy's clothes just flew off him.
Yeah, but when he's standing there, when the guy creeps up and comes behind, I get like perspective in this movie. That guy was huge, the wolf dragon guy. And it was just on the bottom of the screen. It's not like it was in the center of the screen. It was like almost like you're gonna see it. Not like we want you to see it. It's right in the middle, but we're gonna see it.
It's coming.
Yeah. So then that's it with this scene, right?
Yeah, it's over.
Shoots flames, boom. Story over. Herschel goes to check on his food, and talk about a twist. The pig eats him and pulls him into the oven.
Good, he deserved it.
And then what did you think was going to happen next? I thought it was going to be over.
Yeah. Well, they had to go back to where they started from. And well, I think also now you see boob.
And this is where I wrote, we're back at the hospital and we have boobs. And I was like, when I'm watching it, I'm like, all right, still the ratio is not equal. I'm like, fine.
Well, it kind of becomes.
Ugh.
Well, first of all, you see the boobs for a long time. So they definitely drag the scene out. But she's going there for a boob job.
Which she doesn't need. And two, how about the hospital room is the same one from earlier? There's blood all over the walls.
And how about the fact that she's going to a hospital for a boob job?
Yeah. That hospital.
There's a lot of questions.
Saw blades in the hallways and people are just dying.
And they're doing surgery on monsters. So, like, it might be the only hospital in the 100-mile radius. So they might not have a choice. So, yeah. So not only is she getting a boob job, but I guess in order to get a boob job, you have to lay naked on the table.
Yes. And he used a marker and he looked like he used the hand that he doesn't write with because he's like shaking. And I love when they put the gas mask over her. He goes, count back from 100 and he takes a shot. The doctor takes a shot before he's going to perform surgery. So then this is the part that really grossed me out.
All right. So now they strap her in.
Yeah.
Right. She doesn't feel that. Like she's still sleeping, but a fly comes and dances on her nipple and wakes her up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe she's very sensitive there.
It could be very, but this is where the doctor comes in and injects into her, like pumps it up like a balloon.
It was a hose. It was a regular hose that's in your backyard. And does he start pumping or the ape's doing the pumping? No, isn't he like pumping or no?
Was it maybe it was the ape?
I don't know who it was, but one of them was just like, and I wrote the ape creeps me out because he's just using. There's a garden hose and it starts filling up the boob. And I would have never guessed that the boob was going to get so large that it was the blob.
Well, the boob filled up the room. It was so big it filled up the room and somehow separated from her body.
Yes.
So that's like, I thought it would just be like kind of squeezed out of the room, and it was going to explode. Like I thought it was going to, but no, it actually became like a bouncing boob. Like it was like crawling around like a blob, but somehow separated from her body.
Yeah, I thought she was going to explode. That's what I thought the kill was going to be. I thought the body was just going to.
So technically, she's laying there with one boob, and a hole in her chest. Like
yes. And then the whole part when the boob's taking over the whole hospital, there's just like so much screaming, and the boob is like the hospital starts crumbling. Right? The building explodes.
Would that be like a bad way to die though? Like die by boob?
That's a big boob. I don't know. They don't make a bra for that.
But also, wasn't there another kill? The guy died by a fly swatter.
Oh no! So what happened was the doctor before the green guy came in the green Toon, the fly went from the nipple to the doctor's nose, and when he was in the nose, the green Toon doctor started hitting him with a fly swatter until he was dead.
So he hit him once and he knocked him on the ground, and then he started bashing him with the fly swatter.
Yeah,
and I don't think I've ever seen anyone die by a fly swatter. Like I think that's pretty. Yeah,
I always thought that was just like for flies.
Yeah,
but not in this case. But no, so. Dude, and then they show the boob get huge, and the movie ends.
Yeah, let me see. Well,
nothing else happens, right?
Well, there was a big dog. I wrote down big dog. Wasn't there a big dog?
Yeah.
So, I had here. So there was a kid's car, like those old kids' ambulance car.
Oh no, that was when they were driving down the hallway. The green doctor. The doctor was in green and he was driving down the hallway and he was running over people and it was like so CGI'd the people. They were like walking and then they were just flopping over like they were cardboard cut out.
He was in the toy?
He was driving that, down the hallways and killing people.
All right, so I had that. Then I had the big dog at the end, right? And then there was a runaway saw again.
Yes.
The saw was there. And then the memoriam of the two dogs.
Yes. Oh, well, no, I think that those were maybe his dogs. I don't know if that... Like in real life.
Right, that's what I mean. But maybe that's why he had the big dog at the end of the movie. Like
yeah, probably. But though, and that's it. There was a lot that we just talked about.
And you know what? If we watched it again, I guarantee I'd get you another 2 pages of things we never talked about.
Oh, I'm sure. Because sometimes when I was writing, there was things happening and then I couldn't do it at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wrote, then the music at the end was like really nice and slow, but the lyrics, I didn't write any down. Like about like killing and gore and ripping body parts, but wow. So I'll start this off because I was thinking about this when I was watching it. Like what we always say, like what can we do to make a movie better? And I know obviously it's a cult film and this is what you do, but I really think that if Joe like had the idea of it seems like a really cool 80s like campy horror movie. If it was just like those two doctors, so maybe that first one, but there was just like I said before, it was like the greatest hits of his special effects. He was like, I want to try it all. It was like somebody that when you're a kid and you go to a restaurant or like a fast food place and you're like, gimme, I want that. Yep. And then when you get it, you can't eat all of it. It's the same thing. There was just so much going on. My mind couldn't take it.
No, it was like, it's like he wanted to show us everything he has, and whether it made sense or not didn't make a difference. He wanted to show us everything that he could do. And, I think, I think the movie's made for the reason why it's made. I mean, obviously it's a cult following. They've made three of them. They're making two more. I think the movie might have been better as what I thought it was going to be is stories. Like, add another 2 stories to the mix, and maybe you can have a better understanding of the movie, because I really don't understand anything about the movie at all. I don't know how they're connected. I don't know if the story's connected to the hospital, what was going on with the hospital. So, like, I would have almost made it hospital 1 story, Bad Wolf 1 story, and then maybe have instead of showing the hospital again, show like a third, almost like the Twilight Zone movie, like show different little,
No, they could have done like 20, 30-minute like stories, but no, that would have been good. Even if they just got rid of the hospital. I know maybe he wanted to close out something from the first one.
Right.
But we wouldn't have the ginormous boob. But no, but if they were, you're right. If it was like Three Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood, Jack and Jill, like all these other, or Hansel and Gretel, like all these like little stories that you can make that creepy. And I got creeped out. I got grossed out. I didn't jump once, but there was a lot of times I was like, I had to look away. I had to cover my eyes. There were
no jump scares. It's funny. I didn't think it was. I mean, I didn't think it was as gross. And I don't like gross horror movies. I really don't. I can't watch Hostel. I can't watch any of these kind of movies. I think I was just too in shock of what I was watching.
Yeah.
That it's like the grossness didn't bother me. The confusion did. I was more confused than grossed out, and I think that kind of balanced it out.
Yeah. So that's Terror Toons Part 3. You can find the first one, the second one, the third one on Amazon Prime. And so next movie, because we're going to split, really pack it in for the end of the year. Next Thursday, we're going to have another review. We're going to be reviewing Die Hard 2, which is kind of like Die Hard 1, but in an airport. And we already interviewed William Sadler, so go back and check that one out. He has some cool behind the scenes with it. But we were lucky enough to interview 2 people that were extras on this movie. One was a feature extra and had a really cool story, an interaction she had with director Renny Harlin. Her name's Corinne Montoya. She's a film and television producer. She had some amazing stories about meeting John Lennon, a group that she was in. She was actually the curator of the Michael Jackson Museum back when all those stories broke about Michael Jackson in the 90s. So she has some really, really cool behind the scenes stories about that. So that'll be out on Monday. Then next Thursday, we're going to talk Die Hard 2. Jamie, when was the last time you saw Die Hard 2?
Probably a couple years ago.
All right. Yeah, no, it's a Christmas movie. So it's going to be our Christmas movie.
It is. If I remember the Die Hards, I mean, I remember the first 3 being, the better ones. I do like 1 the best, obviously. I do like 3 a lot. 2, I don't remember liking as much as the other 2. So I'm looking forward to watching that. But the one thing you didn't ask me was, would I recommend this movie to anybody?
Oh, would you recommend Terror Toons 3 to anyone?
I have never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad I did, just to get, see something like this. Because I know there's a huge following for this and people love this kind of stuff. And, and maybe if I watched more of it, of other types of movies like this, maybe I'd get into it. But considering I've never seen anything like this, it was an experience. So if you want like a weird experience of a movie, then it's going to be right up your alley.
There you go. So if you want an experience, watch Terror Toons 3 or the other 1 and 2 that are all on Amazon Prime. So so that's Terror Toons. Next week, Die Hard 2. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to review, rate, and share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. Good night.
Good night.